I always like to hear good ones.
They're kind of long. What's that?
How long is it? The joke.
I don't have any good jokes.
I don't either right now.
That's fine.
All right.
Okay, so
All right, Mitchell.
I'm working on just an all-around more fluent speech. And my name is Mitch Hunter. America, the land of opportunity. In my humble opinion, it's the best country in the world because our government was designed to work for us, the people. However, corruption within our government today is jeopardizing what our founding fathers dedicated their lives to create. America, where Congress ratings are now at an all-time low. America, where the people of our country no longer trust career politicians who run for election over and over again. America, where those same congressmen are more concerned with the financial backing of their campaign contributors than they are with the constituents of this country like yourself and I. So we've all heard it. With power comes corruption. And I stand before you today to implement a policy that by setting term limits, it would prevent further corruption within our Congress. So today we will address the problems, as well as the causes of these problems, and finally a solution that has already been implemented to prevent further corruption. First, the obvious problem is there are no term limits for Congress. Now for those of you who are not politically minded, the President has a maximum of 8 years that he can serve. 2 terms, 4 years. Congress, however, has an unlimited amount. The longest Congressman has ever served is 53 years. Now with this long time in office, it encourages lobbyists to influence their decisions. Now to lobby is the act of influencing a government official's decision, oftentimes with money, in return for a political favor. According to Restart Congress, 90% of incumbents are re-elected each time. An incumbent is someone who serves in office. 90%. In 2010, the House of Representatives raised $1.4 million for their campaign, while the competitors raised a whopping $166,000. Okay? The Senate raised on average $9.4 million, while the competitors raised $519,000. You see, money is a huge factor in winning an election. And if by setting term limits, it would even the playing field for new ideas, new faces, and new ways of thinking to create a newer way of thinking for our Congress. Now, why do people say that Congress works to serve their own self-interest? The Los Angeles Times reported in November 2006, Harry Reid, who was our Senate Majority Leader, managed to set aside $18 million to start to build a bridge across the Colorado River from Nevada to Arizona. Neither state's transportation agency had any plan of this, but with his political power, he basically forced this to happen. Conveniently for Harry Reid, he owned 160 acres right alongside this bridge. So after it was done, his real estate skyrocketed and is considered one of his largest investments known to date. Harry Reid is currently under investigation by the CIA and the FBI. Let's rewind 8 years back from 2006 to 1998, when Harry Reid invested millions of dollars into a mutual fund. Now, for those of you who don't know what a mutual fund is, it's just a similar companies that are all like-minded. So ExxonMobil, Chevron, energy companies. He bought in for roughly $30 a share, rode the wave for a couple years, and sold at $60 a share, doubling his investment, making millions. What's really shady about the deal is the fact that 2 weeks later, after he sold all of his stocks, he went on record telling the media that the government would now be taxing these companies nearly double, and the stocks plummeted overnight. These relationships that Harry Reid built with those lobbyists that I talked about basically allowed him to serve for his own self-interest and not for the constituents of the country like yourself and I. Keep in mind, Harry Reid is one member out of a Congress full of 535 members. So now that we've identified one problem, let's get into a few of the causes of why this happens. You know, they can be chalked up to greed, misconstrued political intentions, or even just the current laws in our country. And don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing our government, because most congressmen actually go into office with good intentions. I mean, the money is seductive, and I'm not even sure that I could resist the temptations from the lobbyists. But, you know, with term limits in place, in a certain amount of time where they can serve, which I recommend would be 12 years, it wouldn't the corporations or the private investors wouldn't be as much inclined to buy out these congressmen. Term limits have been an ongoing debate in our country for years. The 22nd Amendment is the only law that acknowledges it, but it's specific to the president and refuses to acknowledge our congressmen. So now that we've identified the problem, as well as some of the causes, let's get into some solutions that we can push forward to prevent further corruption. Some of you may be asking, or maybe not asking, has there been an attempt to impose term limits already? The answer is yes, there's been an attempt. But the Supreme Court continues to reject the partisan, and let me break it down why. The U.S. term limit is an organization that's been around for years now. Their goal is to set the maximum amount of time a congressman can serve to 12 years. But all they need is more people to vote. You can do this by going to ustermlimits.org. The term limit debate, according to the term limit debate, 80% of Americans, 80% of the class, to put it in scale, is already in favor for this. But here's why it hasn't been passed, because it's easier said than done. What we're trying to do is persuade Congress to create a constitutional amendment that will basically take away their power. We're trying to persuade Congress to limit their own job security. It's kind of a paradox, if you will. So today we uncovered the problem, as well as some of the causes, and we can hopefully implement a solution down the road. Because the truth is, our founding fathers believed that members who wanted to serve for their country would go to Congress, serve a few years, and go back home to live under those same laws that they created. However, now Congress has become a career path filled with greed, wealth, and access. And I understand that 40% of you don't care about politics, and that's okay. But just know that these politicians affect the decisions that we get to make in our daily lives. So if you take one thing away from this speech, take that our founding fathers, if they saw what was going on in Washington, D.C., they would see that the exact same thing that they fought to be free of is happening right now. So will term limits prevent all corruption in Congress? No, but it'll definitely be a start to persuade the congressman to work for the constituents of the country again, like yourself and I. So thank you.